All right, today we're going to tackle a real medical puzzle, something that affects millions of people but is still, widely misunderstood. We are talking about multiple sclerosis, or MS. So, to really get us started, let me ask you something. If you had to guess, what's the number one reason a young adult might face a neurological disability if we take injuries out of the picture? Think about it. It's a condition that often shows up right when people are building their careers, maybe starting a family. Well, the answer is multiple sclerosis. And the scale of this thing is just massive. We're talking about an estimated 2.8 million people around the globe. That is a huge number of people, of families, who are living with and navigating this incredibly complex disease every single day. All right, so let's get right into it. What exactly is MS? And who does it typically affect? Let's break it down. Okay, so at its heart, MS is basically a case of friendly fire. It's an autoimmune disease. That means your body's own security system, your immune system, gets totally confused. Instead of going after bad guys like viruses, it starts attacking you. Specifically, it goes after this protective coating called the myelin sheath, which is like the insulation that wraps around all the nerve fibers in your brain and spinal cord. Now, this is really fascinating. Take a look at this. MS does not play fair when it comes to who it affects. For reasons that scientists are still trying to pin down, it might be hormones, it could be genetics. Women are 2 to 3 times more likely to get an MS diagnosis than men. That's a huge difference. And then there's the timing of it all. This is just brutal. The typical age when MS first appears is between 20 and 40. We're talking about people right in the prime of their lives. This isn't a disease of old age. It hits when you're just getting started, which makes its effect on, careers, relationships, and just your whole life plan really, really significant. So what's actually going on inside the body during all this? Well, the best way I've heard it described is like a civil war. Your body's own internal army, its immune system, suddenly decides that some of its own loyal cells are the enemy, and it launches an all-out attack. And this attack, it happens in a few pretty devastating steps. First, some immune cells just get the wrong signal. They get activated. Then they manage to get into the brain and spinal cord, where they cause a ton of inflammation. This inflammation starts stripping away that protective myelin coating. That's called demyelination. If this goes on, the nerve fiber underneath can get damaged too. And finally, scar tissue forms where the damage happened. And that's actually where the name comes from. Multiple sclerosis literally just means many scars. And this right here shows you exactly what that damage does. Think about a healthy nerve like a brand new phone charger cable. Perfectly insulated. The signal, the electricity just flows through fast and clear. But in MS, that insulation gets damaged. The wire becomes frayed. And what happens? The signal gets scrambled, it slows way down, or maybe it just gets blocked completely. This is what causes every single symptom of MS. And because this nerve damage can pop up pretty much anywhere in your brain or spinal cord, the symptoms can be all over the map. It's so different for everyone. You might have one person who feels numbness in their hand, while someone else suddenly has vision problems. That crushing fatigue, that's almost a given for everyone. Then you've got issues with balance, coordination, even cognitive stuff like that infamous brain fog. This is why it's such a personal and unpredictable disease. And that unpredictability doesn't just apply to the symptoms, but also to how the disease behaves over time. You see, MS isn't just one thing. It's better to think of it as having, 4 different faces. So here they are, the 4 main types. The one you hear about most and the one most people start with, like 85%, is relapsing remitting, or RRMS. That's where you get these flare-ups or attacks, and then periods where things get better. Over time, a lot of those folks might move into what's called secondary progressive, or SPMS, where there's less of an up and down and more of a slow, steady decline. Then you have about 10 or 15% of people who have primary progressive, PPMS, from day one. No relapses, just a steady progression. And finally, there's a pretty rare type, PRMS, which is kind of the worst of both worlds, a steady decline with sharp attacks on top of it. Okay, so you've got all these different symptoms, all these different ways the disease can act. So how on earth do doctors figure this out? It's honestly like being a medical detective. You have to gather all these different clues to solve this really complex puzzle. The absolute key here is a concept that doctors call dissemination in space and time. It sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means is they need to prove 2 things. 1,
that damage has happened in different places in the brain or spinal cord. That's the space part. And 2, that these attacks have happened at different times. And the tool that makes this possible? The MRI. It's a total game changer because it lets doctors literally see the damage, those little scars or lesions, and confirm both parts of the puzzle.
So once that puzzle is solved, once you have a diagnosis, the whole game shifts. It's all about management. And listen, while there's no cure for MS, not yet anyway, the way we treat it today is a world away from what it was just a few decades ago. It has been absolutely revolutionized. Today's approach really stands on 3 big pillars. Pillar 1, you've got to treat the acute attacks when they happen. That usually means high-dose steroids to just slam the brakes on the inflammation. Pillar 2, and this is the big one, using what are called disease-modifying therapies, or DMTs. These are the powerful drugs that actually slow the whole disease down. And pillar 3 is all about managing the day-to-day symptoms to make sure life is as good as it can be. But it's so much more than just pills and injections. Rehabilitation is a massive piece of the puzzle. We're talking about a whole team of experts here. You've got physical therapists for strength and balance, occupational therapists to help with daily life hacks, speech therapists, cognitive therapists, psychologists. They all work together to help people stay as functional as possible and just build resilience. It's a total team effort. And this really brings us to the most important takeaway. The outlook for someone diagnosed with MS today, it is night and day different from what it used to be. It's so much more hopeful. Just look at this quote. Thanks to these modern treatments, living a full, active, independent life for decades, that isn't just a dream anymore. For so many people, it's the expectation. So that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The incredible progress we've made with MS is amazing. It's a huge win for science. But it also shines a light on a bigger question for all of us, right? As we get better and better at helping people live long lives with chronic illnesses like this, what's our next step as a society? How do we get better at supporting them, not just with medicine, but in our jobs, in our neighborhoods, just in how we understand and treat each other?